Welcome to today's story. Are you ready to be inspired? This is the amazing story of a man who faced huge challenges but never gave up. His name is Barack Obama. He went from a boy with a difficult childhood to become the 44th President of the United States, showing the world that with hard work, determination, and belief in yourself, you can achieve anything. This story will take you through his early years, his struggles, his dreams, and the people who helped him along the way. It's a story about overcoming obstacles and fighting for a better future. As you listen, you'll not only improve your English skills, but also learn some important life lessons. Let's dive in. Barack Hussein Obama was born on August 4, 1961, in the beautiful state of Hawaii, located in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. But even though he was born in the United States, his story begins in a very different place. His father, Barack Obama Sr., came from a country called Kenya in East Africa, and his mother, Stanley Ann Dunham, was from the state of Kansas in the United States. His parents met while his father was studying in Hawaii. But soon after Barack was born, his parents separated, and his father returned to Kenya. Barack's life from the very beginning was full of challenges. His father was far away, and his mother was busy working hard to raise him. Despite these challenges, Barack grew up with an extraordinary sense of hope and ambition. He always dreamed of a better life, even when things weren't easy. When Barack was just a small child, his father sent him letters. Although Barack couldn't understand everything his father wrote, he would treasure these letters. They became a symbol of the love his father had for him, even from afar. Barack grew up knowing that his father was an important figure in his life, even though he didn't have the chance to be with him much. While Barack's father wasn't physically present, he had other strong influences in his life. His mother, Ann Dunham, was a woman of great strength and wisdom. She worked hard to support Barack, making sure that he had everything he needed to succeed. Ann was not just his mother. She was his teacher, his guide, and his biggest supporter. She taught him to be curious, to always ask questions, and to believe that he could achieve anything he set his mind to. Ann's work ethic and belief in education were some of the most powerful lessons she passed on to Barack. She taught him the value of hard work and the power of learning. As a child, Barack's world wasn't filled with many material things, but he had everything he needed to succeed: love, attention, and the belief that he could change the world. Besides his mother, Barack was also greatly influenced by his grandparents. His grandfather was a tough man who worked hard and never gave up, while his grandmother was a kind woman who always took care of others. Together, they helped raise Barack and gave him a sense of stability. His grandparents were the ones who made sure he had everything he needed, and they supported him in everything he did. Even though Barack grew up without his father, he didn't feel like he was missing out. Instead, he learned to appreciate the people around him who supported him and loved him. Barack learned that family is not just about blood. It's about the people who care for you, help you, and encourage you to follow your dreams. Barack Obama's story is not just one of overcoming family struggles. It is also a story about identity and race. As a young boy, Barack didn't quite fit into the world around him. Because his father was African and his mother was American, Barack found himself in the middle of two very different cultures. He was often the only black student in his school, and this made him feel like an outsider. People would often ask him questions like, "Where are you from?" or "What's your background?" This was a difficult thing for young Barack to answer because deep down, he didn't feel fully connected to either side. He didn't fit perfectly into the black community because he didn't grow up in Africa, and he didn't fit into the white community because of his African roots. For a long time, Barack struggled with his identity. He didn't know where he belonged. But instead of letting this confusion define him, Barack decided to embrace his differences. He chose to see them as strengths. He understood that his unique background could help him bring people together, no matter their race or background. He learned that the world needed more people who could bridge divides and create understanding between different cultures. This lesson would guide him for the rest of his life. Barack Obama always had big dreams. As a young boy, he wasn't sure exactly how he would achieve them, but he knew that education was the key. He worked hard in school and excelled in his studies, but even with all his efforts, things weren't always easy for Barack. He faced discrimination, doubts, and obstacles that many young people face when they come from tough backgrounds. Yet, Barack's resilience shone through. He didn't let these challenges stop him. After finishing high school, Barack moved to the mainland United States to attend Occidental College in California. It was a big step for him, leaving behind his family and the familiar world of Hawaii. But Barack was ready. He wanted to grow, learn, and experience the world. This was the start of a new chapter in his life. At Occidental College, Barack was exposed to a whole new world. He met students from many different backgrounds, and he began to see the world in new ways. But he also began to feel the pressure of living up to the high expectations he had set for himself. Barack knew that in order to achieve his dreams, he had to push harder, work smarter, and never give up. He transferred to Columbia University in New York City, one of the top universities in the United States. This was a big challenge for Barack. New York City was a fast-paced, busy place, and Barack had to adjust to life in a big city. But he wasn't afraid. He was determined to succeed. At Columbia, Barack studied political science, which would later influence his future career. He became more interested in the issues affecting society, such as racial inequality and poverty. He saw how many people were struggling and felt a deep desire to help them. Barack began to understand that education wasn't just about getting a degree. It was about using knowledge to make the world a better place. After completing his studies, Barack moved to Chicago, where he worked as a community organizer. This was a job that took him into some of the poorest neighborhoods in the city. Barack's work was not easy. It required him to meet with people, listen to their problems, and find ways to bring about change. He worked long hours, facing many challenges. People were skeptical at first, but Barack knew that he had to stay strong. He didn't give up. He believed in the power of ordinary people coming together to change their world. Barack faced many challenges as a community organizer. Some people didn't believe that things could change. Others were too caught up in their own struggles to listen to him. But Barack believed in something more powerful, the belief that together, people could make a difference. He worked tirelessly to improve the lives of people in Chicago, helping them fight for better housing, better schools, and better jobs. This section of Barack Obama's early life is filled with challenges, but through them, he learned valuable lessons. He learned the importance of education, the power of community, and the strength of belief. His story shows us that no matter where we come from or how difficult our situation may be, we can always fight for a better future. Barack Obama's time as a community organizer in Chicago laid the foundation for everything that came after. His work in the neighborhoods of Chicago wasn't just about helping people with immediate problems. It was about teaching them to believe that they could make a difference in their own lives, and that together they could change the world. But Barack knew that in order to make a bigger impact, he would need to do something even greater. He needed to enter politics. Barack's decision to run for political office didn't come easily. He knew that the road ahead would be tough. He was young, he was black, and he had no political experience. But he had something that many other politicians didn't: a deep understanding of the struggles ordinary people faced. He had a connection to their lives, and he knew how important it was for someone in power to listen to them. In 1996, Barack ran for the Illinois State Senate. It was his first step into the world of politics, and he knew that it wouldn't be easy. He faced strong opponents, many of whom had more experience and more money. But Barack had one thing they didn't: a powerful vision. He believed that he could create a government that truly worked for the people, especially those who had been forgotten by the system. His campaign was different from most. Instead of focusing on flashy advertisements and expensive events, Barack focused on talking directly to the people. He walked door to door, visited people in their homes, and listened to their concerns. He wanted to understand their pain, their hopes, and their dreams. He wanted them to know that he cared about them and that he was fighting for their future. Against the odds, Barack won the election. He became a state senator in Illinois, and this was just the beginning. He used his position to pass laws that helped improve health care, provide better education, and support the poor. He worked with both Republicans and Democrats, believing that the best way to solve problems was to bring people together, not divide them. But even though he was having success, Barack knew that he needed to do more. He was starting to feel that in order to really make a difference, he needed to reach a national audience. So he decided to run for the U.S. Senate in 2004. Before Barack ran for the U.S. Senate, he was invited to speak at the Democratic National Convention in 2004. This speech would change his life forever. At the time, Barack was a relatively unknown candidate, but when he stepped onto the stage, something magical happened. He began speaking not just to the people in the audience, but to the hearts of millions of people watching from their homes. His speech was powerful, hopeful, and full of unity. He spoke about the future of America, where everyone, no matter their background, could have an equal opportunity to succeed. He said, "There's not a liberal America and a conservative America. There's the United States of America." These words struck a chord with people across the country. He talked about bridging the divides in the country and focusing on what united people, not what divided them. The speech was a moment of hope, and it showed the world that Barack Obama wasn't just another politician. He was a leader who could inspire change. The speech was a turning point in his career. It put him on the national map and made people believe that he could lead the country. Barack's message of unity, hope, and change resonated with people from all walks of life. It gave them hope that things could be different. In 2004, Barack Obama won the election for U.S. Senate. Now he was serving in Washington, D.C., where he had the opportunity to make an even bigger impact on the country. His time in the Senate allowed him to work on important issues like health care, ethics, and ending the war in Iraq. Barack used his position not just to pass laws, but to inspire a new generation of leaders to fight for justice and equality. One of the most important things that Barack Obama did during his time in the Senate was to fight for the Affordable Care Act. He believed that everyone deserved access to health care no matter how much money they had. This was a bold stance, and many people didn't agree with him. But Barack was determined. He spoke with passion about how health care was a basic right, and after years of hard work, He helped create a law that would give millions of Americans access to health insurance. But Barack wasn't just focused on the big issues. He also worked on small things that could make a big difference in people's lives. He helped pass laws to improve education, make the criminal justice system fairer, and protect the environment. He became known for his ability to bring people together to work on problems, even when they disagreed. He didn't just want to be a politician who passed laws. He wanted to be a leader who made the world a better place. As Barack continued to serve in the Senate, his popularity grew. More and more people believed that he could be the next president of the United States. But running for president was not an easy decision. Barack knew the road to the White House would be tough. There would be criticism, attacks, and obstacles. But he also knew that this was his chance to make the biggest change of all, to fight for a better America. In 2007, Barack officially announced that he was running for president. He faced many challenges in his campaign, especially because he was running against Hillary Clinton, who was a well-known figure with a lot of support. People doubted whether he could win. He was young. He didn't have much political experience, and some people didn't believe a black man could become president. But Barack had something that no one else had: the belief that change was possible. He believed that America could be better, and he knew that the only way to make that happen was by inspiring people to get involved. He didn't just want to win, he wanted to give people hope. He wanted them to believe that they could be a part of the change. Barack traveled across the country, meeting people from all walks of life. He listened to their struggles, their hopes, and their dreams. He gave speeches that inspired thousands. His message of hope and unity started to resonate with people of all races, ages, and backgrounds. They were tired of politics as usual. They wanted change, and Barack Obama was the man who could lead them there. On November 4th, 2008, Barack Obama made history by winning the presidential election. He became the first black president of the United States, a moment that many thought would never come. It was a victory not just for Barack, but for everyone who believed in a better, more equal America. When he stood on the stage in Grant Park, Chicago, on election night, Barack Obama made a powerful speech, one that would go down in history. He thanked his supporters and promised to work for the people. He talked about the long road ahead, the challenges that would come, and how, together, the country could overcome them. Barack's victory was more than just a political achievement. It was a symbol of hope, of the possibility that anything is possible if you work hard enough and believe in your dreams. It showed that the future could be different, and it inspired millions of people to believe in themselves and in the power of change. After Barack Obama's historic victory in the 2008 presidential election, the world was filled with hope and excitement. He had promised to bring change to America, and people believed he was the leader who could make that happen. But as soon as he entered the White House, he faced many challenges. The country was in the middle of a financial crisis. Wars were raging in Iraq and Afghanistan, and millions of people were struggling to find work and make ends meet. It was a time of great uncertainty, and the expectations on Barack were enormous. But Barack was determined to fulfill his promises. He knew that the road ahead would be difficult, but he also knew that the American people needed someone who believed in the possibility of a better future. He was ready to face the challenges head-on and lead the country through tough times. When Barack Obama took office on January 20th, 2009, he inherited one of the worst economic crises in history. The Great Recession had left millions unemployed. The housing market was collapsing, and banks were failing. People were scared. They didn't know how they would pay their bills or feed their families. Barack quickly took action. He passed the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act to inject money into the economy and create jobs. He worked to stabilize the financial system and prevent a complete collapse. He also began working on reforming healthcare, education, and energy. Barack didn't just want to fix the economy. He wanted to build a foundation for long-term success, a foundation where every American had a chance to succeed. But his efforts were met with fierce opposition. Many Republicans and even some Democrats disagreed with his approach, and they criticized him for his spending. Some believed he was doing too much too quickly. Others argued that his policies were leading the country in the wrong direction. But Barack remained calm and focused on his goal, to help the people, no matter the obstacles. One of the most significant achievements of his first term was the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. This law aimed to provide health care for millions of Americans who didn't have insurance. It was a bold move, and it faced strong opposition from many sides. But Barack believed that health care was a basic human right, and he fought for it, even when others said it was impossible. After months of debate and negotiation, the law passed, and it changed the lives of millions of people across the country. It wasn't perfect, and there were many who disagreed with it. But Barack's commitment to his vision showed the country that he was willing to fight for what he believed was right. While Barack Obama worked on domestic issues, he also faced significant challenges abroad. The wars in Iraq and Afghanistan were ongoing, and Barack knew that he needed to find a way to end them. He promised to bring troops home, but the process was complicated. He had to balance national security with the need to protect the lives of American soldiers and civilians. Over time, he began to reduce the number of American troops in both countries, but the wars continued to be a controversial part of his presidency. Barack also faced tensions with countries like Iran and North Korea. These nations were pursuing nuclear weapons, and Barack had to figure out how to handle these threats. He chose diplomacy over military action, working to create peaceful solutions, such as the Iran nuclear deal in 2015, where Iran agreed to limit its nuclear program in exchange for sanctions relief. While many supported this deal, others argued that it didn't go far enough to stop Iran's ambitions. One of the most controversial moments of Barack's presidency came in 2011, when the United States carried out a mission that killed Osama bin Laden, the mastermind behind the 9/11 attacks. The operation was a success, and many Americans celebrated. However, it also raised questions about the ethics of such an operation. Some people praised Barack for bringing justice to the victims of September 11th, while others questioned the use of force in another country without its permission. Barack's decision to approve the mission was a reminder that leadership often involves making difficult and unpopular choices. Barack's second term as president was marked by both progress and setbacks. He had already achieved a lot during his first 4 years, but now he faced the challenge of securing his legacy and dealing with a more divided political landscape. In 2013, Barack faced one of the biggest battles of his presidency: the government shutdown. The Republican-controlled Congress refused to pass a budget unless Barack agreed to defund the Affordable Care Act. The situation became tense, and for a short time, parts of the government were forced to close. But Barack refused to back down. He stood firm on his beliefs, and the government eventually reopened. This struggle highlighted the deep political divisions in the country, but it also showed the strength of Barack's leadership. He was not afraid to fight for what he believed in, even when it wasn't easy. Another major moment in Barack's second term was his stance on climate change. In 2015, he helped broker the Paris Climate Agreement, a historic deal aimed at reducing global carbon emissions and combating climate change. Many world leaders praised the agreement, but it was also controversial. Critics argued that the deal would harm the economy, while supporters said it was necessary to protect the planet for future generations. Barack's commitment to addressing climate change was a defining part of his presidency, and it showed that he was thinking not just about the present, but about the future. But even as he fought for progress, Barack faced challenges at home. In 2016, he had to deal with the rise of Donald Trump, a businessman and television personality who was running for president. Trump's campaign was based on divisive rhetoric, and he promised to undo many of the policies Barack had worked so hard to put in place. As the election approached, it became clear that the country was deeply divided, and Barack knew that his successor would have a difficult task ahead. Throughout his presidency, Barack Obama's speeches were often powerful and full of hope. However, some of his words sparked controversy. One of the most famous controversial speeches came in 2008 when Barack talked about bitter Americans who cling to guns or religion. The comment was meant to highlight the frustrations of people living in difficult economic conditions, but many interpreted it as an insult to hardworking religious Americans. Barack quickly apologized, but the incident remained a part of the narrative surrounding his presidency. Another moment that caused controversy was his stance on race relations. Throughout his presidency, Barack spoke out about issues of race and inequality in America. His words were often powerful and inspiring, but they also caused division. In 2009, when an African-American professor, Henry Louis Gates, was arrested in his own home by a white police officer, Barack famously said that the police had acted stupidly. His comment sparked a national debate about race and law enforcement, and it highlighted the deep racial tensions in the country. Barack's speeches on race were often aimed at bringing people together and fostering understanding, but they were not always well received by everyone. Some people believed that he was too focused on race, while others felt that he wasn't doing enough to address racial injustice. But Barack continued to speak out, knowing that his words had the power to spark change. Barack Obama's presidency was full of challenges, but it was also full of triumphs. He fought for healthcare reform, climate change action, and economic recovery. He made history by becoming the first African-American president, and he showed the world that anything is possible, no matter where you come from. He left office in January 2017, but his influence is still felt today. Many of the policies he put in place are still in effect, and his legacy continues to inspire people around the world. He showed that leadership isn't about being perfect. It's about fighting for what's right, even when the road ahead is tough. He believed that change was possible, and he proved that with hard work, dedication, and a belief in the goodness of people, anything can happen. Barack Obama's story is not just one of political success. It's a story of hope, resilience, and the power of believing in a better future. He showed us that no matter the obstacles we face, we can overcome them with determination and a commitment to justice. His life is a reminder that leadership is not about power. It's about serving the people and fighting for what's right. After Barack Obama left office in January 2017, many wondered what he would do next. The world had seen him as president for 8 years, and he had left an unforgettable mark on the nation. People admired his leadership, his calm in times of crisis, and his commitment to fighting for equality and justice. But his story wasn't over. Even after stepping down from the most powerful position in the world, Barack Obama's influence didn't disappear. In fact, his post-presidency years have become a testament to his continued dedication to service, progress, and the greater good. One of Barack Obama's first major projects after leaving the White House was the creation of the Obama Foundation. This foundation was designed to inspire and empower the next generation of leaders. Barack's vision was clear: to create a space where young people from around the world could come together, learn from one another, and work on solutions to the problems facing their communities. The foundation focuses on several key areas, including leadership development, global engagement, and community building. Barack believes that young people are the key to solving the world's biggest challenges. He often speaks about how the future belongs to them and that they have the power to create positive change. Through the Obama Foundation Scholars Program, young leaders are given the tools and opportunities to make a difference, whether in their home countries or on a global scale. Barack has always said that his greatest hope for the future is not just to leave a legacy of laws and policies, but to leave a legacy of empowerment. He wants to ensure that the next generation knows how to lead with empathy, understanding, and a commitment to justice. Through the foundation, he is planting the seeds for a better tomorrow, one that will continue long after he is gone. Since leaving the presidency, Barack Obama has traveled the world, speaking out on a variety of global issues. His messages are always centered on unity, hope, and the belief that we are all connected. He has spoken about climate change, the importance of democracy, and the need for strong, compassionate leadership in times of crisis. One of the most powerful speeches he gave after his presidency was at the Nelson Mandela Annual Lecture in South Africa in 2018. In his speech, Barack spoke about the dangers of polarization and division in society. He warned that when people allow fear and hatred to rule, they risk losing the very things that make a country strong: unity, tolerance, and the belief in the potential for progress. Barack also spoke about the importance of democracy. He encouraged people, especially the younger generation, to get involved in their communities and political processes. He reminded them that democracy is not just about voting in elections, but about standing up for what is right, fighting for justice, and working towards a society that values equality for all. Barack's words have resonated with people around the world, and they continue to inspire those who are fighting for human rights, climate justice, and democracy. He uses his platform not to seek attention for himself, but to highlight the struggles of those who need a voice: the marginalized, the oppressed, and the forgotten. Barack Obama has also dedicated part of his post-presidency years to writing. His memoir, A Promised Land, was published in 2020, and it quickly became a bestseller. The book offers an inside look at his time in office, his struggles and triumphs, and the values that guided him throughout his presidency. The memoir is more than just a political history. It's a personal reflection on what it means to lead, to serve, and to make difficult decisions. Barack shares his fears, his doubts, and the moments when he questioned whether he was doing the right thing. But through it all, he never lost his belief in the power of hope, change, and service. He writes about the moments when he felt the weight of the presidency, but also the moments of joy and accomplishment that reminded him of why he had taken on the role in the first place. In the book, Barack reflects on his family and the sacrifices they made while he served in office. He speaks of his wife, Michelle Obama, with deep admiration and love, describing her as a source of strength and wisdom. Michelle had always been his biggest supporter. But she also became a leader in her own right, using her platform to advocate for girls' education, health, and empowerment. Barack often credits Michelle for being a constant reminder of what matters most: love, family, and the importance of helping others. The book also explores the challenges of being the first African American president and how those challenges shaped his worldview. He reflects on the moments when he was accused of not doing enough for the African American community and how he dealt with criticism that came from both the left and the right. He writes honestly about the frustrations of working within a system that often seemed resistant to change, but also about the moments when he saw progress and felt that he was making a difference. Throughout his career, Barack Obama has always been guided by his faith. He has spoken often about how his Christian beliefs have shaped his views on justice, equality, and service. For Barack, faith is not just about religion. It's about living a life of integrity and doing what's right, even when it's difficult. One of the most powerful moments of his presidency was when he spoke about the tragic shooting of 9 African Americans at the Mother Emanuel AME Church in Charleston, South Carolina, in 2015. During his eulogy for the victims, Barack sang the hymn "Amazing Grace," a moment that moved millions of people around the world. His voice was shaky, and he appeared deeply emotional. But in that moment, Barack embodied everything he had always stood for: compassion, healing, and hope. Barack Obama's faith continues to guide him as he speaks out on issues of racial justice, equality, and human rights. He uses his platform to advocate for those who are struggling and to remind people that change is possible, but it takes time, effort, and a belief in the goodness of humanity. While Barack Obama has been widely celebrated for his leadership, he has also faced his share of criticism. There are those who argue that his presidency didn't go far enough on issues like health care, racial equality, and income inequality. Others criticize him for not being able to bring about the level of change that many had hoped for. However, Barack remains confident that he did the best he could with the circumstances he faced. He acknowledges that not every decision was perfect and that there were moments of failure. But he also believes that leadership is about moving forward, even when things are tough. He teaches that it's okay to make mistakes, as long as you learn from them and continue to push for progress. As we come to the end of Barack Obama's incredible journey, it's important to reflect not just on the milestones and the triumphs, but on the lessons his life teaches us. His story is not just about politics, policies, or even the White House. It's about the power of resilience, belief in change, and the endless potential within each of us to make a difference. Barack Obama's path wasn't always easy. He faced challenges that seemed impossible: racial discrimination, doubt from others, and obstacles that many people would never even imagine. But what set him apart was his unwavering belief that anything is possible if you are willing to work for it, to fight for it, and to believe in it with all your heart. His life proves that no matter where you come from or what obstacles you face, you have the power to shape your own future. One of the most powerful messages Barack Obama has shared with the world is this: don't wait for the world to change. Be the change. It's easy to look at the problems in the world and feel overwhelmed. It's easy to think that one person can't make a difference. But Barack has shown us that small actions lead to big changes. Every step you take towards progress, no matter how small, adds up to something huge. Barack's story teaches us that leadership is not about being in charge. It's about empowering others. Leadership is about inspiring people to believe in themselves, to believe in the possibility of a better future, and to take action to make that future a reality. Every one of us has the ability to lead, in our families, in our communities, in our jobs, and in our daily lives. So, what does Barack Obama's legacy mean for you? It means you are capable of more than you think. You have the power to create change, to face your fears, to overcome obstacles, and to never give up on your dreams. His life is a reminder that even in the darkest moments, there is always light. Even when the world tells you no, you can still say yes. Barack Obama didn't let his circumstances define him. He refused to accept the limitations others placed on him. He pushed forward when things were difficult, and he remained true to his values even when the world didn't agree with him. And because of that, he achieved things that many thought were impossible. Now it's your turn. The world needs you. The world needs your voice, your ideas, and your unique perspective. It needs you to be brave, to take action, and to keep moving forward even when it seems hard. No dream is too big, and no challenge is too great. Your journey is just beginning, and it is full of possibilities. Remember, every day is a new opportunity to make a difference. The next time you face an obstacle, think of Barack Obama. Think of his belief in hope, in change, and in the power of people to create a better world. And most importantly, believe in yourself. You have the power to change your life and the lives of those around you. Your future is in your hands. And like Barack Obama, you too can leave a legacy that inspires generations to come. So rise up, take that first step, and never stop believing. The world is waiting for you.